So before I call the meeting to order, I would like to just remind everyone who is here in the chambers, if you would please silence your cell phones, which I'm going to make sure I do right now. All right. And for those joining us on Zoom, we'd ask that you keep yourself muted unless you are called upon to speak. And is everybody ready? Get my agenda up. I have too many screens. The Plan Commission of the City of Glendale is now in session. Of the clerk, please call the roll.
Mayor Kennedy,
Here.
Commissioner Bailey,
Here.
Commissioner Seligman, Commissioner Nelson,
Here on Zoom.
Commissioner
Nelson, you are muted.
Can you hear me?
Hear you.
Can you hear me?
We can't hear you. I can see your lips moving. We can't hear you, but we do have you as in the meeting. If you have another phone or something, a way of
I'll
trying
do.
to call in or joining via phone, that may be helpful. All right. Sorry, clerk, you can go ahead. You can continue.
Commissioner Cohn,
Here.
Commissioner Story, and Commissioner Reek.
All right, we do have a quorum. First item on the agenda is the adoption of the minutes of our meeting held on June 7th. Can I have a motion to adopt the minutes, please? Moved by Commissioner Reek, seconded by Commissioner Cohn. Any corrections to the minutes? Any discussion? All in favor of adopting, please say aye.
Aye.
I saw Shantae say aye. Okay. Any opposed? No. All right, the minutes are adopted. Oh, sorry, one abstention. Oh, thank you. All right, and Commissioner Nelson is trying to connect right now via phone, so. All right, we'll move on. We have 3 items on the agenda this evening. The first is a business use approval. This is for discussion and possible action for a business use approval for Milwaukee Gunsmith for a firearms repair shop that is in the M1 Warehouse Light Manufacturing Office and Service District on Sydney Place. And I will turn it over to staff first for recommendation. Okay, you are not able to be heard unless your microphone is. Yeah, there you go.
It was off. The Milwaukee Gunsmith is currently located in Brookfield and is seeking a larger space and looking to move to Glendale, specifically 6651 North Sydney Place. Milwaukee Gunsmith will be subleasing, is looking to sublease space from Brilliant DPI Inc. Brilliant DPI Inc. will continue to occupy the space. However, Milwaukee Gunsmith will occupy 1,700 square feet of the Brilliant DPI Inc. space. No alterations to the building or the site are planned. The Milwaukee Gunsmith repairs, customizes, and cleans firearms. They also do firearm transfers after background check has been completed, and the DOJ and FBI approvals have for the transfers. They do not sell any firearms or ammunition. The main uses of the Milwaukee Gunsmith are a gunsmith workshop and office space. The company expects to employ 2 to 4 people Wednesday through Saturday. Hours are 10 to 6 Wednesday through Friday, and Saturday 10 to 4. The only signage proposed at this time would be an entry door on the sign at the entry door, and security will be via cameras. The staff report also provides you with some information from the city clerk, police, and administration reviewing the application with regard to the sale of firearms. You'll note in his application, he indicates he does not sell firearms, and various due diligence has been done by the police department and the city clerk. The applicant is here, I believe. If you have any specific questions, or they might be able to expand upon their business with regard to operations.
Thank you. Representing the business. Up to the All right, so our microphones are kind of tricky. If you're not talking directly into it, if you even get it tilted a little away from you, it doesn't pick you up. So when you start talking, I'll let you know if a little light comes on. So if you can introduce yourself, please, and then tell us a little about your business.
I'm Sarah McClendon.
Okay, the micro, can you see if the mute button is? No, try again though.
Can you hear me?
Yep, perfect.
Okay, thank you. I'm Sarah McClendon. I'm an employee with Milwaukee Gunsmith. Mr. Morris here owns Milwaukee Gunsmith. He's hard of hearing, so you'll probably hear me translate to him so I can answer your questions.
Okay, that sounds great. Thank
Thank
you
you.
so much for,
Milwaukee Gunsmith has been in business for 6 years in the Brookfield area. We're trying to relocate to Glendale. All we do is we do firearm repairs or paint them or Cerakote them, and we do firearm transfers. Whereas a person would purchase firearm online, send it to our location. They cannot retrieve the firearm until we complete a background check and the DOJ or the ATF approves their background check. And once that's approved, then we can hand them the firearm, but we do not sell them to them. We do not sell ammo at all.
not a single bullet, no ammunition at all in the
No,
entire
no,
place.
no.
Okay,
There's no retail store whatsoever.
There's no retail part of this establishment. It's mainly the gunsmithing business and then the office side of it.
okay. And what is the proximity, or sorry, what is the number of sales approximately that you would have where you'd have transfers in a given month? Okay,
During COVID, we had a much higher volume we were doing currently because of the economics of everything.
okay. Could you just repeat that into the microphone, please? Yep, say.
Okay, during the COVID crisis, we were seeing a high volume of sales. I mean, we were doing as much as 2 to 3 dozen a week. But since the economy has changed, that has changed. Stimulus money has dropped off. We lucky if we see a half a dozen a week right now. That's all we've been doing. So it's very simple, straightforward. We do get denials from both the state and the feds, and it's our responsibility to make sure that they do not get a firearm if they should not have one.
Is that gun that has been shipped to you, do you then ship it back to the seller or?
Yes.
Okay,
Yes, if someone is denied a firearm, it's sent back to the seller. We don't keep it.
okay. So I'm going to ask staff, so here's my concern is I've looked through, obviously, our zoning code, spent some time looking at it over the weekend. And so we have prohibitions against anything that detonates. You're saying there's no ammunition, so that at least removes that. But we also, the gun sales, so I'm curious if you can explain to me, this is less than 1,500 feet from Glen Hills Middle School, and we don't permit any gun sales in proximity to a school. So I'm wondering if you can explain to me how this is not a sale. If someone has purchased the weapon, it gets sent to this particular company, and that's where they go to retrieve it. Can you explain how it is not a retail establishment? Because that's what I'm not quite understanding. And I understand you did have conversations with the chief and the DOJ.
Yeah, so this is how my understanding of it, not an expert, but speaking to the chief and the clerk and the information that was discussed after they investigated, it's essentially the sale occurs online and then it is shipped to the particular destination. And so the sale transaction has occurred through the internet, so to speak. And essentially, it's akin to, I guess, if you were to buy something on Amazon, the transaction has occurred, for instance, on Amazon. And if you go to a Amazon box and you retrieve it with a code, you're then retrieving your item that you've already purchased. Or if you purchase something online and the UPS guy is dropping it off, it's essentially being delivered to you at your door versus in this instance, because of federal law, it's being delivered to a authorized agent who then can make sure that it gets to the proper person through a variety of checks and balances.
So this is more of a delivery service than it is a retail establishment.
Yes, sir. Yes,
Okay.
sir.
And their due diligence is that as a delivery service, they have to go through and verify that the person who's picking it up is the person who purchased it, who's been approved through the FTA and the DOJ and all of those types of things. So it's not like you can, it's a little more complicated than when I simplified it down to like a delivery from Amazon, but you know, if you essentially, if there was if you had a special package from the post office, if I sent you something registered, insured mail, you would have to sign for it. So the mailman can't just drop it off at your front door. You have to sign for it, show an ID, and then they would give it to you. If you're not the person, then they would take it back to the post office and you would have to then go to retrieve it from the post office with your ID. So it's a similar type of transaction, I guess, as much as I can simplify it.
Except that your company actually is responsible for doing the background checks.
Yes, we do.
Okay. All right. So my only real concern here, and this is where I'm trying to figure out, is that this is still less than 1,500 feet from a school. I mean, if this were down in like, you know, down near Capitol Drive and that industrial area where it isn't near any schools, not even in Milwaukee, there are no schools around that particular area. It's all basically warehouses and factories. I would feel a little different about this, but can you explain, I guess, that proximity to schools issue and how that made it through the discussions with?
So the way the ordinance is written is it actually says that it prohibits the sale of firearms within the distance of the school, that specific distance from a school. So if at this location, they wanted to sell firearms, that would be prohibited, but there is not actually a sale transaction happening. They're cleaning individuals' guns that have already been purchased. They're painting handles, things like that. And then there is the other third component of their business, which is the transfer and the pickup component. But that was determined that Chief talked to the DOJ and the federal staff. How they explained it to the city was the sale occurs through that online vendor, that's actually considered the sale.
I mean, I have no concerns at all about your primary business, which is the repair of guns. As a matter of fact, I own several hunting rifles that have been in my family for years. One of them actually needs repaired. So I'm happy to know. I haven't tried to use it in a long time, but it actually needs repaired. And so would be interested in, you know, if I have it for sentimental reasons. It was my grandfather's, it was my great grandfather's. So I mean, that particular part of the business, it is this transfer issue that I've got such a concern with, and the fact that it is so close to a school. And I hear what you're saying as staff, but I have I think I would like to be a part of conversations with the chief and the DOJ around, and obviously with staff around this particular aspect of this 1,500 feet from the middle school, because that is my biggest concern. And, you know, I would hate to be, I mean, we've had, what, 13 mass shootings this weekend over a holiday weekend. I would hate to be the city that ends up in the national or international news because somebody picked up a weapon 1,500 feet from Glen Hills Middle School and then already had ammunition in their pockets and was ready to go. So I don't want to be that city. And that's my big concern, is the proximity, particularly to the school. I guess staff, would there be a problem if we were to lay this over? Because I feel very uncomfortable, and right now I feel uncomfortable being a yes vote to this. And I haven't even asked the rest of the commission if they have questions yet.
So to answer your question on, you know, what are your options for the evening in this particular case, you could certainly, one option is to vote on it. You would have the possibility of you'd have a possibility of approving or a motion to deny, and depending on how it comes out, you'd have that response. The other option is if the commission would like more information, or you would like the chief of police to come and explain in person, or have our city attorney, who also was involved, explain in person. In terms of getting someone from DOJ or a federal agency, we could certainly look into that. I don't know if we'd actually be able to get them to actually attend, but I could definitely get our legal counsel and the chief to attend a meeting if you felt that you wanted to hear a little bit more detail from them.
I would feel more comfortable having the input of the chief and the city attorney, particularly where I've got these questions. I'm going to actually open it up to the members of the commission to ask to see if any of you have questions or concerns before we move forward. So I'm just going to start over here and go work my way around. So we'll get to Commissioner Nelson online in just a moment. I'm going to start with Commissioner Story. Do you have any questions or concerns that you want raised right now?
So the transfer is only the firearm. You wouldn't be sent any of the ammunition that they would be picking up as well. It would just be the firearm.
It's just the firearm. Ammunition is sent to the customer.
Okay.
Commissioner Cohen?
Right up, it says that you have a security camera. If I bring a gun to you for maintenance, how do you store that gun? Or how do you store any gun until it's either shipped, picked up, or whatever?
We have 3 safes that all the firearms are stored in, plus at the location where we're renting from, it is under lock and key, and only MGS employees and Mr. Morris have access to it.
Next question, is the property, the 1,217 square feet, alarmed?
No, it's not.
So other than a security camera, there is no alarm. If somebody breaks in and try for any reason, there will be no response.
We do not have an alarm system, no, but Brilliant DPI does have a Ring camera on there that would notify them if something were to happen. But in order to move our safes, you would have to hire someone.
The safes that are way
The safes weigh over 2,000 pounds. An average person could not move that. We had to have to hire someone to move those.
Concern is that break in, not knowing this. What type of response? One,
Morris does have on his phone the ability to hook up the cameras to his phone to watch them. So if something was to happen and the police were notified, he could have immediate access to them.
I have a question. For those who are denied, are they aware they're denied before they come to your facility, or do they find out when they arrive?
They have to come into our facility, fill out paperwork, then we enter it into the DOJ or the FBI, whichever system we're using for them. And we get a response, and then they find out at that time, either through a phone call from us or from the DOJ, that they've been denied. So they have no idea until they come fill out the paperwork that they've been denied.
They have to come in person.
Yes, ma'am. And at that time, we require their photo ID to make sure it's that actual person. If it's not you and you're not the one who purchased the firearm online, we will not do your background check.
What type of emotion?
Mike wasn't picking up.
Isn't picking up? No, I talk louder. And I just forgot my question. Oh, yes. What is the emotional response of those people who get denied? Do they have a lot of anger? They're right there. You have guns around you.
It's very low, and we get a response usually within 30 minutes if you've been approved or denied. And if it takes longer than that, we explain to the customer, this is taking longer per the requirements we are required to go through. We will call you and let you know either way. Most of the time, we give them a call, say, I'm sorry, you've been denied per what this is. You can appeal. Here's what you need to do. It's very low. Some people are angry with us, but they understand. And then some people are like, oh yeah, okay, thanks. Will you send it back? Thank you.
That work? There we go. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I have several questions and comments. First, I wanted to clarify about the volume because I believe I heard something inconsistent in your comments about the number of sales that Mr. Morris indicated. So I think I heard you say back when it was higher that you, when the economy was in better shape, that you did about 20 transactions per month. And then I thought I heard you say that it's come down to half a dozen per week. And that clearly that math does not work.
Correct. When COVID first hit, we got a lot of firearm sales and we did about a dozen a week. Right now, as things have slowed down and back to our previous pre-COVID time, we're back down to about 20 a month.
So that 20 a month was the low figure.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so it's at least every other day.
Yes, ma'am.
All right. I'd also like to say that to me, the difference between transfer and sale is a difference without a distinction, or a distinction without a difference. That those are the same thing. And in fact, Mr. Morris in his comments said sales when he was referring to these. So I am not convinced that what you're describing, despite the legalities, is any different from gun sales.
When we say sales, we charge them a transfer fee. So we're considering that a sale for us, but we do not receive any money regarding their firearm. They have to pay the seller remotely or internet wise. We do not take any money of them. We have to pay the DOJ a fee because we use their internet, their paperwork. So we have to recoup that from the customer and we make them pay for that. So when we say sales, we mean the customer is paying us the transfer fee to do it.
And the reason I think there's no difference is because you have customers ending up with guns in their hands at your shop. That's a sale. To me, that's a sale, even if there's a legal distinction. And we have to think about the safety of the community.
I totally understand that, but we are not selling anything, ma'am.
Just to think a little bit more about the context, may I continue, Mr. Mayor? We had a case in this commission within the past couple of years. This is why I think it's not a difference, in which there was a credit union that arranges transfers of automobiles that are delivered outside the building. And in order to comply with state law, which considered that to be a sale, they had to put in double doors in the front of their building so that automobiles could come in and out, even though that never actually happened. So that's one of the reasons I don't think that this is different. The other issue I would raise, Mr. Mayor, just thinking about this, is I would remind you that a couple of years ago, there was an effort to put a juvenile prison facility about the same distance away from Glen Hills Middle School as this proposed gunsmith shop would be. And the community was, I would use the phrase up in arms, except for that's in very poor taste for this context. And on the pretext of the possibility that a juvenile prisoner would escape from that facility and somehow run to the school and attack children in the school, Glendale refused to let that development be built, despite the fact that it would have brought children who are imprisoned from Milwaukee back to Milwaukee and reunited their families and given them a chance at a better life. So the fact that there was this hypothetical scenario that prevented that facility from coming into within a very close distance of Glen Hills suggests to me that this community is very concerned about safety in the schools, and that this is something that we should give very close attention to before allowing it nearby, since there will be guns transferred at the site. Thank you. That's all.
And yet actually the site in question for the youth detention facility would literally be 50 feet from where you are looking to locate. The state has been interested in building a youth detention facility right behind the Fire and Police Academy on Teutonia. So just across the bike path from where the location where you're wanting to be. And we fought that as a community and won. Actually, as a community, we convinced the members of Joint Finance to not put any money behind that location. And so Milwaukee is now looking at a different location for the construction of that facility. And it was because it was too close to the school. So I'm going to go to Commissioner Nelson, who I know is
Can you all hear me?
connected by phone now. So
Can you hear me now?
cannot hear you. I don't know if your phone is. Well, no, she's on her phone. Her phone is not listed as being on mute.
Nope. Can you hear me in either one of these?
So,
No.
I believe we have the chat disabled, don't we? Could you enable the chat so that she could submit a question through the chat? And we've got to get this fixed because this happened in our last meeting, our last common council meeting as well, that somebody wanted to speak online and we couldn't hear them. Okay, thank you. City administrators on top of it already. The IT people are behind though.
On the whiteboard? Type out comments in a text and share her screen if she's on a computer.
Yeah.
I think when the link is set up, you can turn things on and off. And so I actually think the link that was
Set up
actually
to not allow
created.
for the
and
chat.
So I think it's set up before it's even, you get the ID to get in.
So Commissioner Nelson, if you want to send an email to one of us, or if you want to text me a question, I can. Oh, she texted me a question. All right. Her question is, how long are the firearms kept on site on average? The ones that are being, I'm assuming the ones that are
Transfers?
being transferred?
1 to 2 days.
Okay. And the ones for repair, just however long it takes to repair them?
Yes.
Okay. Any other questions, Commissioner? Commissioner Nelson? No? Okay. Yep, she said thank you.
Thank you.
All right. So I am uncomfortable calling for a vote right now without having the input from the chief.
I don't think you even have a motion on the table.
Well, they're right. I mean, I'm even asking for a motion. So what I'm actually would like to do is I'd like to hear from the chief and from the city attorney. And so I'd like to ask for a motion actually to lay this over to our next meeting. And I'd like to ask staff to have the city attorney and the police chief present to answer our questions.
Sure, we can do that.
Okay, so can I ask for that motion to lay this over to our next meeting?
So moved.
Moved by Commissioner Reek, seconded by Commissioner Bailey. All right. All those in favor of laying this over to our next meeting, please say aye.
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 Any opposed, no? And if you could also note that Commissioner Nelson also said aye. She gave us a thumbs up, so. All right, so we're gonna lay this over to our next meeting in August. It's August 3rd. So we'll have an opportunity to hear from the police chief. And that distinction honestly is that 1,500 feet from the middle school, and it's this specific location. As I indicated, we have a huge industrial area in the southern part of the city. We don't, for example, we don't have any residents that live south of Sprecher on Glendale Avenue. So from Glendale Avenue to Capitol, everything in that part of is entirely warehouse, industrial, it's manufacturing, it's commercial. I mean, there are no residents in that area, so there are no schools in that area. Even if you look into the surrounding area of Milwaukee, you would be more than 1,500 feet from any Milwaukee schools. It's this particular location that I have a concern. Not only it's Glen Hills, but there is an MPS school on the other side of Teutonia, just a few blocks. So you mean you have really two schools. The other one's probably 2,000, 2,500 feet, but it's certainly, at most 3/4 of a mile. So I mean, I do have those concerns. So I want to be able to hear from the chief and from the city attorney. And if you're okay, well, we've already tabled this, but if you could please come back at our August 3rd meeting. And it's that transfer issue. I don't think, I mean, I can't speak for everybody else up here, but in terms of the repair of the firearms, I don't have any concerns at all with people dropping off an unloaded weapon that you do repairs on and hand back to them. That's their own property. Because like I said, I would take advantage of your service to have the one from my great grandfather repaired. It is this issue of the transfer of weapons that to me, I agree with Commissioner Seligman. To me, it looks and feels like a sale. And so we'll have you come back August 3rd, and we'll have the chief and the city attorney also be here. So,
Okay, thank you.
yeah, thank you.
It's a Wednesday, so we moved the meeting from a normal Tuesday night to so it is the 3rd on a Wednesday.
Okay, thank you.
Next month is National Night Out. So the police department and everybody, yes, and we all try to go to that as a community as well. So to support our police and fire. All right. The next item on the agenda. is discussion and consideration of scheduling a public hearing for conditional use permit for Colin Comer for storage, service, and maintenance facility for vintage car collecting at 2300 West Bender. I'll turn it over to staff first to give a recommendation, and then we'll hear from the business owner.
Mayor. Mr. Cromer is a vintage car collector who resides in River Hills and desires an offsite location to store, service, and maintain the items. This particular location has been used for the past 17 years by Prestige Auto Service and has occupied the space for commercial sales and repair of vehicles. Mr. Cromer has indicated that no employees will be hired at this location. The facility will not be open to the public, and only the applicant, family, and invited guests will be at the location. Hours will be approximately 10 hours a week, and there'll be no signage on the property. He has submitted some plans to repair the security fencing and other appearances on the property, as well as some pavement and cleaning up the building overall. His target date is November 1st of 2022. And Mr. Comer is here if you have any questions.
Yes. Hello. Hello. You could just state your name and your address and tell us a little bit about how you want to utilize this property. It sounds like it's not a business. It sounds like it's basically just storage.
Correct. Yeah, my name is Colin Comer, 7365 North River Road in River Hills. And I bought the building at 2305 West Bender just for purposes of additional storage for my own personal cars.
Okay. I haven't been by the property in the last couple of weeks, but the last time I was by there, I believe there were still a bunch of cars there from Prestige. Are you planning to remove those and clean that up? Because right now there's just a bunch of old cars, or there were the last time I was through there.
Right. In my application and business plan, I did mention that the property was blighted currently and it remains blighted. So the tenant, Scott Campbell, is supposed to be out by July 31st. He's asked for an extension. He found another location to move to. He's saying he will be out by the end of August, at which point I would like to, renovate the property, and all this stuff will be removed. He's taking his cars, and whatever he leaves behind, I will clean up and remove because it needs it.
Blighted is a much more pleasant term than I might have used.
Well,
Some of those cars have been there for several years.
It's a junkyard. I mean, my friend had a business across the street, so I've watched it for years, and it's a neat building, but it needs some love.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. Well, I'll open up to members of the commission. Commissioner Cohn?
Mr. Fellows, are we talking about, we got three addresses here, 2300 West Bender, 2035 West Bender, and you just mentioned 2005?
2305.
2305.
2030.
I'm sorry, 2035. I'm
There's a
dyslexic when I
typo up in the
talk.
top, correct?
2035 is the correct address.
Correct. Yes, sorry.
Thank you.
All right, any other questions from members of the commission? So before us tonight is we have to schedule a public hearing because that is a business manufacturing area. And so this use, we'd have to basically approve a conditional use. You're not operating a business there, you're using it as storage for vintage cars. So we have to, because we're doing that, it's conditional, we have to have a public hearing. With many public hearings, no one shows up. So sometimes you do get a whole bunch of people. I doubt this is going to be anything controversial, but it is a requirement. So the motion before us today, then, if I call for a motion for us to schedule at our August 3rd meeting, a public hearing for conditional use. Moved by Commissioner Cohn. Is there a second? Second by Commissioner Story. I saw Commissioner Seligman with a question.
I did have one question. Do I understand correctly from your application that it will be only indoor storage of the automobiles?
Correct. Inside storage only.
No outside storage?
No outside storage, inside storage only, no signage, nothing, outside, no dumpster, nothing that's, all the stuff that's outside now will be gone.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
All right. Any other questions? Okay, it's been moved and seconded. All those in favor of scheduling a public hearing for our August 3rd meeting for the conditional use permit, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you.
Thank you. See you on the 3rd.
All right. See you in a month. Yep. All right. Next, we are scheduled tonight for a public hearing on a request from Spring North Company and Jason Singh to rezone 7575 North Port Washington Road And this actually, this came over from the Common Council already, right? And so I'll just, we already heard this presentation a month or so ago. This is the,
Yeah, so
Yeah.
the first motion, the first item was at Common Council. The second time it did appear last week, sorry, last month
right,
for the scheduling of the public hearing. So this evening, you actually have the public hearing, and then it is agendized for action by a recommendation by the Planning Commission this evening, if you desire, that would be a recommendation to City Council. And then just to follow the process through the next City Council meeting we would have, which it would be listed on, they would then direct staff to schedule a public hearing. Then we'd have a public hearing 30 days later, and then possibly that evening of that public hearing action
okay, by the Common Council.
by the Common Council,
Okay.
correct?
All
And
right, so
then
we-
they will, this is, so essentially tonight, you are looking at the general, both the public hearing and the general development plan. It does have to return for a specific development plan before Planning Commission and City Council. There are no hearings in that phase. And then the development agreement is approved by City Council only. The development agreement does not come back to Planning Commission.
One question. Refresh my memory. Else, there's a present gas station there right now.
Yes, so there currently is a gas station there. This gas station is a standard gas station. It does not have a large convenience store or anything like that. So it is just a gas station.
Or puts it in a different category. That's why we have.
So the current zoning does not allow for the gas station or the convenience store. That is why the applicant is seeking to rezone the property to planned development. The comprehensive plan that the city adopted a number of years ago classifies this area as mixed, planned mixed use. The corresponding zoning for that is a PD district. The planned development district does not have a specific list of encouraged or prohibited uses. It does talk about a mix of uses, those types of things, but it is really, because it's a development agreement in the end, it's basically approved very specifically for that particular use. So for some reason down the road, let's fast forward, assume the gas station, the convenience store was approved and they wanted to add a third type of use, they would have to come back through the process, amend the development agreement. There's no list of permitted by right uses in a planned development district. So what you're approving is very specific.
Any other questions? Seligman, go
I'm
ahead.
sorry, I didn't understand part of the answer to that question. So I think you said that under the current zoning, a gas station is not a permitted use, but there is a gas station there.
Correct. Back in the late 90s, early 2000s, most locations where there are gas stations, they became non-conforming uses. As Glendale at that time was trying to minimize the number of gas stations and used car lots and those types of things. So it was sort of part of that process about 20 years ago.
And it was grandfathered in because it was an existing gas station?
Yes, so if this gas station wanted to continue operating as a gas station, it would be able to continue to operate as a gas station.
So the issue is, well, one, that there's a new owner, and two, that they want to have a convenience store as well.
Correct, it's the convenience.
Thank you so much.
All right, so the plans that were presented already to the Common Council as well as to the Plan Commission, are there any changes to those plans from what we've already seen? I'm just gonna ask the owners, nod your heads or shake your head. Are there any changes to the plans that have already been presented to us? Because I don't need you to speak into the microphone then. I was just asking for a yes or a no. If you've made no changes to what you submitted last time, I'm going to go ahead and open the public hearing. Okay, that was it. All right. So I'm going to go ahead then and I think we've gotten all the questions from everybody here. So I'm going to go ahead and open the public hearing. Is there anyone wishing to speak on this particular proposal? I do see someone in the audience wishing to be recognized. So if you could please come up to the microphone and state your name and address, and then offer your testimony for or against I don't want to tilt the microphone down and talk directly into it.
My name is Hilda Arndt. I live at 7626 North Chadwick Road, right behind the athletic club right now. I never knew this was happening. I just got that notice in the mail. So my husband and I are here today. I want to know, there's lots of traffic coming out of the athletic club on that side street. There's a lot of new young families moving in, and there's lots of young children there. I haven't seen this proposal. I was wondering, will the driveways to the gas station only be located on Northport Washington Road instead of on, what is it, Calumet? Because Calumet already has our street, Chadwick coming in it, it's got that, the athletic club traffic going into it. And then if you still have all those gas stations and you've got, I know the person that lives right next to, they at least have 2 or 3 little kids. By little, I mean, babies on up to before school age. The other ones, they just moved in, they have little children. Across the street from us, they've got little twins. There's lots, and, it was a perfect place to raise young families, for little children, because it's dead ended. I'm just concerned if you have that you can come out on Calumet Road, and then you have the people coming here. When I turn into Calumet, I have to brake. I have to go very slowly because people coming out of the athletic club don't always look. They don't realize that people live there on Chadwick Road, that there's actually residential behind them. So I'm just concerned about that added traffic. I also do not approve of a store being put in there with the gas station. The gas station, I don't mind at all. But once you add a store there, and if they're going to be selling alcohol, you're attracting a whole new concept of customers. We have St. Eugene's, which is right across the street. We have St. John's, that's just up the street. Now, when we had that, I don't know, I know that for a while, all the St. John's people were picking up their children because of COVID. I think there was no bus service. They were using Chadwick Road, coming in one way and going around the other way. So just for traffic concerns, and with the children being in that neighborhood, lots and lots of children on our street. Perfect place for children because it's dead ends on either side. I'm just really concerned to put a gas station in there with a convenience store, with the athletic club. And let's face it, people going to the athletic club, they want to get in and out fast. They're coming home from work, they're going in there, they're going out. They're not actually looking for little children. And then if you have people wanting to get some gas, people wanting to pick up a package of beer, they want to pick up this or that yet. I think that it's going to cause a lot of congestion, and it's not going to be safe for our children. And I know that a lot of people walk to St. Eugene's, or they, at one time there was no bus service even for St. Eugene's, and they had a crossing guard there. And I know for St. John's, I'm just really concerned about the traffic.
Thank you. So I don't know if you can see the screen up here,
Okay.
showing where the entrances are. There are entrances from both Port and from Calumet, but I believe the primary traffic will be coming from Port Washington Road because that's where
And I disagree. I think they will come straight from the athletic club, go into the gas station. And I think I would really like to see no entrance on Calumet. I don't care if there's entrances to the gas station from Port Road, go in one and go at the other. But I do not think there should be an entrance on Calumet Road, especially with the other entrance for the athletic club there. The traffic, I'm so glad we don't live on that. I know that house sold for lots of money. That house right next to Heinz's gas station that used to be Heinz's. I couldn't believe what it sold for. I know the corner house just sold by us on Calumet and Chadwick Road. That sold for a lot of money. And I can't see anybody wanting to live there, when you have all this traffic going there, especially with young children. I think if you have that athletic club and the people coming out there, and then you have Chadwick Road here, I don't think you need another entrance in that 1/2 block. It's only half a block we're talking about, really.
Okay, thank you. Appreciate your testimony.
Sure.
Yep. All right, is there anyone else wishing to speak to this issue? Okay, we'll ask those who are attending via Zoom, is there anyone wishing to speak to the issue? Unshare your screen so I can see everybody on the Zoom, because I can't see if anyone's trying to unmute and talk. Is there anyone attending on the Zoom that wishes to speak? So you can unmute and state your name. All right, second call, anyone wishing to testify in the public hearing?
Bobby Peter just unmuted himself or herself.
Bobby, are you trying to speak to us? Okay, we seem to be having an issue with microphone, being able to hear people when they speak. And Bobby, it looks like you have a screensaver on, so we can't see you to see if you're giving us a thumbs up or anything. So if you're trying to speak.
Anything right now?
Are you trying to speak, Bobby?
Yeah. Can you see me at all?
I can't see if they're trying to. Yes, are trying to speak?
Yes.
Okay. We seem to be having an issue of not being able to hear. Can see you, but we can't hear anything. Were you wanting to offer, I guess, can you give us, were you trying to give in support of the proposal or against the proposal? If you could do a thumbs up in support or a thumbs down and against?
Well, I'm the
'Cause
owner.
we can't hear anything you're saying.
I'm the owner here for the station, the gas station. And I got 4 entrances at the station. 2 are on Calumet.
Okay, so Commissioner Nelson said that she can actually hear Bobby and she is texting me. So apparently we're having problems with volume only here inside with being able to hear. She's the owner for the gas station. And she said there's 4 entrances at the station, 2 on Calumet, 2 on Port.
Bobby, if you can hear me, you can finish up and I'll continue to text.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you. I'll just text as you are communicating. I'll text it to the mayor.
All right. I'm the owner.
We're actually able to hear.
Oh, are you? Okay. I've been 55 years here. So we still in the same business. We're trying to sell because of health reasons. I just lost my brother about 12 weeks ago. And we do have 4 entrances, 2 on Calumet and 2 on Fort Washington Road as we speak. And this has been open for 55 years. So I don't know what the concern is, why the concern on trying to get an extra entrance in, which is already here at this point to open up a different gas station.
Thank you. All right, and then I'll have to have you turn off your volume again then, John, so we don't get the echo.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, it's okay. All right. And so we've now heard from Bobby as well. So we've heard from 2 folks, and I guess we'll, one third call then. Is there anyone else wishing to speak in the public hearing on this particular property? All right, then I would ask then for a motion from a member of the commission to close the public hearing, please. Moved by Commissioner Cohen. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Bailey. Sorry, Alderman Bailey. All those in favor of closing the public hearing, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. All right, so we do have before us tonight, and I have heard obviously the concern raised by the residents, so we can work with staff on I guess concerns around the traffic patterns. But we do have before us tonight a recommendation that we refer this back to the Plan Commission. What? Or sorry, back to the Common Council.
So Mayor, if I might, I did share the screen and the site plan is up there. There is a, where you see my cursor on the screen, there's another entrance right here. The developers did talk to Milwaukee County, which actually maintains this portion of Port Washington Road. And that current driveway is too close to the intersection. So they did ask for that to actually be closed. So you'd have one on Port Washington, the two on Calumet. If you would like, I'd be glad to work with the developer as well as our city engineer to see if there is a possibility of doing a right in, right out, or right now these are both, both a left and a right entrances. Maybe we can do something to minimize the flow from those two driveways from that perspective. And we could certainly present an alternative option at the city council meeting if you wanted. You could also request changes to come back to planning commission and then make your recommendation at another meeting. The other item I did want to mention to you, the building and the landscaping and site plan did stay pretty consistent from what you saw.
Is that a median?
It is a painted, I don't know if it's a, well, actually, we can, sorry, I'm going to move my screen really quick. I did provide the map. It appears.
Let's see what it looks like.
I believe it's just a painted, I don't believe it's a concrete median. I believe it's just a painted median currently right there.
Yeah.
And I believe in their drawings, I interpreted it to be a painted median. The driveway to the athletic club is over here. So you have one driveway, one here. So if you were to put a median here, it really wouldn't prevent any the traffic from the athletic facility is going to come here and then could access either driveway. So
the traffic from the Wisconsin Athletic Club would be driving away from the neighborhood, not into the neighborhood anyway. So they'd be pulling out, and if they pulled into the convenience store or away, it would typically be traffic going away from the neighborhood.
Yeah.
Correct. And they have another entrance farther to the north, just off the map.
Right,
So they
right.
could come down Port and then turn into the convenience store / gas station at that point too.
Okay.
The other item I do want to also, the building has remained the same from the time that you saw it. They had not submitted plans for the canopy. So I do want to make sure that you have at least looked at that updated set of plans here. So this is the canopy. It would be masonry columns on the bottom, a pretty simple flat canopy component, and then some signage and those types of things. And then I'll just leave it here with the image of the building. And if you have other questions, I'd be glad to walk you through them.
So masonry, the similar brick as to what's on the building is what the columns will be made out of?
Correct.
Okay. All right, Commissioner Cohen, you had a question?
The question I have would be, could the consolidation of the north drives, there's two existing drives, be consolidated into one drive in and out?
I think
guess
the
that
diesel trucks are in the back. I think they would need the two because the trucks are on one side and cars are on the other. See, the diesel pumps are on the back side.
Yeah.
And so there would have to be truck turn in to be able to get in for you can even see the traffic flows for large semi pulling in to get diesel.
Actually,
Yeah.
this plan is actually the fire access for the fire apparatus, which would be essentially the same type vehicle as a fueling truck. So if this driveway in the back were to be closed, the turning radius for the fire truck would have to come through here and then past the canopy. So it's a lot of that has to do with trying to clear around the canopy if it needed to access the actual building.
For fire.
Any other questions? So the recommendation would be to refer this back to the Common Council with a recommendation to approve the rezoning. I would like to add to that, though, that if staff could, if you could, would staff be willing to evaluate between now and the time it comes to the Common Council, the traffic flow issues and be able to give us a recommendation on the traffic flow side of things?
And staff's willing to do that, and we can certainly work with our engineers. I think the applicant is, yes, he's indicating from the audience that they will work with us. So we will, we basically have about 3 weeks to come up with some solutions to present to council.
Okay, so when this goes back to the Common Council, it typically comes with a report from the staff. You know, I know only Alderman Bailey, who's brand new on the council, is actually on the council. So when this comes back to the council, it comes back with a report from the Plan Commission. So it will indicate that these questions have been raised. It will indicate the testimony that was offered during the public hearing. And then if there's any alterations or changes regarding the traffic flow, that'll be presented to the Common Council as well. So, all right. So I would ask then for a motion to recommend this to the Common Council for approval of the rezoning.
So moved.
Moved by Commissioner Reek, seconded by Commissioner Cohn. Any further discussion? All right, all those in favor of approving, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, no? Motion carries. All right. So the last thing then is just a note that we are changing our Plan Commission meeting in August will not be on the first Tuesday of the month. The first Tuesday of the month is the National Night Out with Police and Fire. And so that we can participate in that, we're going to meet on Wednesday, August the 3rd. So just that note of that change of Wednesday, August the 3rd. And so if no other business before us, I would entertain a motion to adjourn, please.
So moved.
Moved by Commissioner Story, seconded by Commissioner Cohn. All those in favor of adjourning, please say aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you all on the line. Thank you for your patience on the volume issue, the hearing issue. So we're gonna have to get that fixed here. So thank you.
Thank you so much.
Not being heard when I was in New York.